Let's get some analysis now on the latest developments from Trita Parsi. He is the co-founder and executive vice president of the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft and joins me live from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for being with us on the program. So do you expect the U.S. to move forward in escalating the conflict by being directly involved, or do you think Trump will give another shot at diplomacy?
Well, if the United States enters the conflict tonight by taking military action against Iran, that is an escalation. And it is not clear whether the United States can control that escalation. There should be more diplomacy. Initially, there was an offer by Trump to send Witkoff and J.D. Vance to talk to the Iranians, but apparently today he withdrew that proposal. But if there is diplomacy, I think it nevertheless is not going to be successful unless Trump changes his position in terms of his red line of being zero enrichment. As long as that is the case, there's going to be a trajectory towards confrontation. The negotiations were going well as long as his red line was weaponization. When he changed it to zero enrichment halfway through the negotiations, that's when the beginning of this crisis was born.
How catastrophic would direct U.S. involvement be, not just for Tehran, but for the region as well?
Well, if the United States attacks Iran in a manner in which it convinces the Iranians that it's essentially all-out war, then the Iranians are very likely going to target American bases throughout the region, which means that the countries that are hosting those bases will end up becoming targets of those attacks as well. That will regionalize the conflict. It will destabilize the entire region. Jeopardize not only stability, but economic prosperity and much else. This is part of the reason that outside of Israel, there's really no other state in the region that is in favor of what is going on right now. And there's good reason as to why many of them have tried to intervene and try to find a diplomatic solution.
When we go back to why Israel attacked in the first place, these so-called preemptive attacks, they say it was to prevent Iran from having a nuclear bomb. The IAEA has said there aren't any indications of that. The Trump administration had previously said that there aren't any indications of that. What evidence is Israel acting on?
None. There is no evidence for what they're claiming. This is just a false claim that they're throwing out there in order to give a false justification for what essentially is an act of aggression. As you mentioned, the IAEA has no evidence of this. The United States has no evidence of this. The United States has reviewed the Israeli intelligence, has not found it convincing. It is just far too convenient for the Israelis to make such a claim. This is even worse than the 2003 debacle in which false intelligence was used to justify the illegal invasion of Iraq. In this case, that evidence doesn't even cannot muster any scrutiny at all, whereas back in 2003, it at least left half of the world a bit confused of what the truth was.
Right, and many experts are making this very comparison. What position, or how does this look on the United States? I mean, Trump went into office pledging to end wars, and joining in on this one certainly wouldn't be in the benefit of the American people. What's the sentiment like among the public on the role the White House should be playing in this conflict?
Amongst the America First base of his support, there is a strong sense of betrayal and a tremendous amount of anger. They voted for him precisely to not go into these kind of wars. He promised to be a peacemaker. He promised to end these endless wars. Instead, unnecessarily, on false intelligence, he is now bringing the United States into another war. This is going to have major repercussions. And unlike 2003, where it took about 2 years before Republicans dared to come out and oppose that war, that opposition to that war exists already today, before the war has begun.
Okay, Trita Parsi, thank you so much for being with us here on TRT World and sharing that insight with us.
Thank you.